We are going to review how to close out a listing in MLS, specifically in NEREN. So to do this, you start here. I'm already logged in. I am here under the Zoller group. So if you haven't already switched, you would just click here, assume identity, and make sure that you've selected the Zoller group. Once you are in MLS under the Zoller group, you're going to go to listings and then maintain listings, which will automatically bring up a list of all of our active listings. And then because we're closing something, we actually want to look at our under contract listings because things will go from active to under contract and then from under contract to closed. So we're going to change this status to under contract and hit search to refresh the list. And once you have this list up, you can actually then just go over here to the right-hand side where it says select an action, and you can select maintain listing. So that will bring up this screen. And from here, we're going to change the listing status from pending to closed. And when you do that, it will bring up all of the required fields that you have to complete in order to close out a listing. So we have here, you only need to fill out the things with the red R that are required. So we're going to choose the closing date, and that comes from the ALTA statement. So I've already got this pulled up here. You can see this ALTA statement has the settlement date as 4/7. So we're going to go back here and choose the closing date. And then under price closed, back on the ALTA statement again, contract sales price is $405. And then here, closed price concessions. So in this case, it is going to be a no. But just as so that you know where to check for that, it's going to be on the ALTA statement, and you're going to look on the seller side of the transaction, and you're going to look for something that says either seller concessions or seller paid closing costs, something along those lines, and it's going to be somewhere around here. So it's going to be subtracted from the seller's proceeds because they're paying it towards the buyer's closing costs. So if you do have a situation where you have those, you would select yes. And then we do actually fill out the concession amount because otherwise a lot of times appraisers will call looking to get that amount. So we put it in there just so that it saves everybody a phone call. Next, you have to put in whether or not an appraisal was complete. This was a cash transaction, so in this situation, no appraisal was completed. But in pretty much any financed, so if it was not a cash transaction, and you can see that from right here, where it says lender, it just says cash. If there was a lender there, it's almost always going to have an appraisal. So in that situation, you would go into Brivity, you would look at the notes, and Rachel would put, there would be a note in here with the appraiser's information. So when there is an appraisal, they require the type of appraisal, which is almost always in person, and then they want the appraiser's name and phone number as well. You can see here. So in person, they want the name and the phone number. And again, all of that information should be in Brivity, but in this situation, there was no appraisal, so we're going to leave that at no. Selling agent is also going to come from Brivity. You can see right here we're in Brivity, and right here the cooperating agent was Wendy Coram. So when you start typing that in, it should pop up, and then you can select them. And then it does also require the type of financing. Again, in this situation, it was cash, but the way that you would get this, typically if there's a lender here, it's not actually going to tell you the type of financing. So what you would need to do is go into the purchase and sale. And then you would look on the bottom of page 3 right here in the financing section. It should tell you right here what the type of the financing was. You can see here that it was cash. So we're going to go back, put in cash, and then we can hit save. And then the other tricky part about NEREN is you do have to remember to hit save that second time in order for it to actually process. Once you see this congratulations message, then you can hit close. And now that is all closed out in NEREN.